Welcome, triathletes, to another exciting episode of the Triathlon Podcast, the podcast where we dive deep into all things triathlon. I'm your host, Coach Gill, and today we have a special episode lined up for you. We're going to talk about choosing the perfect bike for triathlon racing. So whether you're a seasoned triathlete or just getting started in the sport, this episode is for you. When we talk about triathlon training and triathlon racing, your bike is not a means of transportation. It's an integral part of your performance. Choosing the right bike can make a significant difference in your speed, efficiency, and overall race experience. So let's get into it. When it comes to selecting a triathlon bike, there are a few factors to consider. And the first and most important is weight. So in this case, in triathlon, normally when you're racing, you cannot draft. So if you watch the Tour de France or pure cycling events, often drafting is okay, so you can cycle in groups. The challenge for triathlon racing, and this is around the world, is drafting is not allowed. You must ride by yourself. And what that means is you no longer have the advantages of the peloton. So when we ride in a group, it is a tool. When we ride in a group, we are better able to slice through the wind. Wind is resistance. So that is why we can cycle longer and faster when we're in a tight little group on the bike. When we're racing, we're by ourselves, and that means there's more resistance. So basically, when we think about cycling, we become obsessed with wind resistance and reducing that resistance. And the first defense is to have a bike that is as light as possible. And then the second, and this is another subject, but the second is we want our bodies to be as light as possible. So that's why you have triathletes who become obsessed with their weight, but that's another discussion for another time. We're only talking about the bike. And so we want a bike that is as light as possible, and it boils down to the bike's frame. So we have different materials. If you have a classic road bike, it could be aluminum, and you're doing this for fun. You're going on a cycle tour or something like that. Aluminum is fine. You have an aluminum carbon mix, so that makes the bike lighter and a little bit more sturdy, but still lighter. And it's more affordable. If you have a mix of aluminum and carbon, it's more affordable as well. And it is a potentially good choice if you are new to triathlon. You don't want to commit too much money, and you will be doing shorter races. So if you're going to do sprints and Olympic distance just to get your feet wet, an aluminum carbon frame is fine. Next up, if you have the money, then yes, the next up, the lightest, is 100% carbon, or mostly a carbon bike. It's the lightest you can get. Well, actually, that's not true. There is another one, but let's stick with carbon. That is the ideal. It is more expensive, but again, you will get the bike down as light as you can. Aerodynamics is a game changer in triathlon, and having a bike with a streamlined frame, so it's not just the material, but also a frame that is streamlined, can greatly reduce wind resistance, helping you glide through the course more efficiently. So you do want to look for frames designed specifically for triathlon racing, with features such as aero tubing and integrated storage options. And you can find road bikes not triathlon bikes. You can find road bikes that have a more aggressive setup, and it's almost as good as a triathlon bike, or just as good depending on the course you're going to be doing. And I'll talk about that a little later on. So next is, which type of bike do you want? You can have a road bike, you can have a triathlon bike. Road bikes are more versatile. So with a road bike, you can practice and train for triathlons. But if you're out with friends and you're doing you're in a hilly place, or you want to do a lot of climbing, a road bike is definitely better, and a road bike is better for riding in groups. In fact, there are a lot of groups. If you show up with a triathlon bike, they probably won't want you to ride with them because it's dangerous to be in aero bars. So an all-around good choice is a road bike if you don't know how many triathlons you're going to be doing, whether you'll even like racing in triathlon. A road bike is always going to be less expensive than a triathlon bike. There are some exceptions. So I would say go with that. Afterwards, if you find that you really are becoming addicted to the sport and you want to shave some more time off your bike distance leg, then definitely it's time to move up to a triathlon bike. Triathlon bikes are engineered with aerodynamics in mind. They come with aero bars, often aero wheels, and there is a more aggressive geometry to help you cut through the wind. So again, this goes down to personal choice and your race goals. I would also say, even with the road bike, you can get a very good road bike that is light, that has an aggressive geometry, and you can buy aero bars that clip on to the front bars, and it's fine. It's fine like that. You can get very comfortable on a road bike with aero bars. So the choice is yours, but I always recommend, if you're starting out, just start out with a good road bike. That's fine. Next, let's talk more about what the bike is made up of. We talked about the bike frame and the material. You also need to consider the drive train. Another word for that would be power train. And this is the mechanical system of components that turn your pedaling power into a forward movement. So a power train has components which include the cassette, chain, pedals, derailleur, and the sprockets. So the drivetrain is the engine of your bike, or I like to just say the transmission, but it's up to you. You do need to consider that, and when choosing that, when you go into the bike shop, and by the way, these things can be changed. So that's the beauty. If you get a great bike with a quality frame, you can always change the transmission. And what that means is, why would you even want to do that, Gil? Well, if you live in a flat area and you're going to be doing flat races, then there is a different train set that would be better. And if you are going to be in the mountains and you're going to be doing a lot of climbs, then you will probably want to change the chain set. So it varies. I don't know that it's not the most important thing when choosing to buy a bike, but it's definitely an important thing when considering the terrain where you'll be cycling. And just know you can always take it to the bike shop and do those things so that your bike is most suitable for your goals ahead of you. And also know that now, and I'm an old-fashioned girl, so I'm not really I still ride with disc brakes. So I don't use anything newish. I use all the things that you could win the Tour de France in 1990. That's what my bike is. But now you've got options. So there's a traditional chain, which is what I am. I'm very traditional. Or there's the increasingly popular electronic shifting. So you can choose that now. The only problem is with electronic shifting is, I think it's probably more complicated when you need to change things. Because honestly, as you bike more, you're going to learn more about the bike, and your bike especially. And if you have all the different if you have one chain set for one type of terrain and then another chain set, it's very easy to switch between the two. With electronic shifting, I have a feeling you're always going to have to go to the bike shop. But that I say start out traditionally and don't spend too much money at first. You can always upgrade. And that brings me to wheels. And I would say, yeah, first of all, wheels are very important. Your choice of wheels can significantly impact your bike's speed and performance. Consider aerodynamics, weight, and durability of the wheels. And don't forget to factor in the type of tires you'll be using for your races versus training. The only thing is with wheels, I don't think that should be your number one priority when you purchase the bike, because you can always change the wheels. What I'd say is you find a great bike and you have those wheels and just use those wheels, and maybe those are your training wheels. Those are the wheels you use just to practice. And if you later on, if you find you're really into triathlon, then you can always buy another set of wheels that are lighter, aerodynamic, blah, 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 all the sexy stuff so that you'll go a little faster on your races. It's only then that you need, when you're considering times, that you need to work. Even though wheels are important, it's not the first thing you need to purchase if you're brand new to triathlon. Now, imagine, you spent all this money, and this is all right, fine. I am a triathlon coach. This is my personal opinion, but there's a lot of fact behind it. You've spent an enormous amount of money, just a ridiculous amount of money on this beautiful, sexy, wonderful bike. And just the mere suggestion of paying extra for a bike fit, offends you. No. If you spent all this time and money, you found the right bike, you do all that, then you must get a proper bike fit. It's essential to maximize comfort and power output during your ride. Investing in a professional bike fit can make a world of difference in your overall performance and prevent discomfort or injuries during your races. And I definitely want to emphasize injuries. If you have a good bike fit, you will be able to cycle every day, all day, and you will suffer minimal injury from overuse simply because you had a great bike fit. Now, find there are other factors. You can injure yourself, but if you have a great bike fit and you injure yourself, it might be due to something other than the bike fit. It won't be because of the bike fit. So yeah, if you're going to spend all that money, spend the extra $200, $300 for a quality bike fit. I would say, I've already talked a little bit about budget, but I would say, again, I want to emphasize, as bikes range from as much money as you want to spend to very little money. You can get a good used bike. I just say in the beginning, don't go crazy. Set a realistic budget based on your priorities and stick with that. And remember, you can always there are plenty of things you can do to upgrade just a good quality bike. That wraps up my episode for today of buying that bike for triathlon training. I hope you found these insights helpful on your journey to finding the ideal ride. As always, thank you for tuning in to the Triathlon Podcast. If you have any questions or topics you'd like to cover in future episodes, feel free to reach out to me on my social media channels. Until next time, keep pedaling, keep running, and of course, you gotta keep swimming. This is Coach Gill signing off from the Triathlon Podcast. Happy training, everybody. Bye-bye. Bye.